talking about zodiac signs, they're all going to start coming into the room. So we're going to talk Aries first, and that's the first sign. Please start us up.
Sure. So Aries, look, I think as we start the year, Jupiter is in your sign. There's a real sense of hope and optimism and possibility that you're going to be moving towards. I would really watch what happens in March. March is a massive month for Aries out there. We have the most romantic day of the year happening in the beginning of March, but it is going to be the most romantic day of the decade for Aries out there. But we're also going to have Jupiter meeting Chiron, a profoundly vulnerable and healing moment for Aries. Once we get past May, the energy that starts to kick in is about figuring out what's worth doing for money and what isn't, and how you're going to implement that, how you're going to move yourself towards greater prosperity, how you are going to define prosperity, because that is deeply personal as well. For example, for me, prosperity without freedom just doesn't mean anything. Like, a big part of my prosperity is agency and my ability to live my life on my own terms. So what is that for you? It's going to be uniquely your own understanding, but you're going to find that definition and do what you need to do to align with it in a way that does move you towards greater abundance.
Mm-hmm. So is this going to come through workplace? Is that what you're thinking?
I'm thinking that this is about defining an understanding of what it means to you to have money, to earn money, to spend money, what's worth spending money on, what's worth doing to earn your money. Not necessarily workplace energy, but more focused on the actual things that you do and understanding you have of prosperity itself.
Okay, I understand that. I have the Emperor card. By the way, I'm using Chris-Anne Donnelly's Light Seekers card, or the and I this one here, the Light Seers, actually the Light Seers, just so you know. And she's also a friend of mine, beautiful spirit insider. Now, really happy to be able to show off her cards. So this is the Emperor. And the Emperor is Aries card. I did not pull it out. It just so happened to be the card that was there, first one. And that is all about leadership, personal leadership, authority, correct leadership, the kind of leadership that you want to follow. Some even with good boundaries and with good direction and good guidance. And I think that's going to be the key theme for the Aries this year. I think they want to be, like you say, their own agency. And many of them may be right hands as opposed to the lead hand. And maybe they're not comfortable in those positions. They've allowed it, they've, done it, but I don't think that's what they want. I think they have their own magic, their own skills, their own interest in what they want to do. And I think many of them are going to tweak whatever there is. Whatever they are doing for work, they're going to tweak it so that they get pushed up the ladder, or they're going to go somewhere else and create something on their own. And it isn't really for money, but money has to do with it. But that isn't really why. I think it's because they really just don't want to have to keep on following. So I think that's a good thing. So many of them will leave positions they've been in for some time in search of, individuality and creativity and ability to make their own rules, and it might be spurred on by not feeling like they were appreciated. So that, Aries is, although they're a strong sign, show them lack of appreciation and you'll hurt their feelings. And I think that is going to motivate them to do more of what they want to do for themselves. And they have also a very good kick-ass kind of way. So these are the kind of people I'd want beside me if I was walking down the street on a revolution and making a point to a government. I would definitely want Aries with me because they are strong-minded, strong bodies, beautiful, and very striking and stunning. And I think a lot of people will listen to them if we put them in the right position. So that's what I see there. And if they have been in unsatisfying relationships, this is going to be when they take leadership back and move forward and feel more empowered. That's what I see there. And some of them, but only a small number, but I do see some, may even return to old relationships. So if they left husbands, if they left wives back in the day, they've aged, they've learned, they're fine wine now, and now they realize what they shoulda, coulda, woulda, and they may very well step back into relationships with either the people that they left or someone very similar to the people that they left in order to probably rectify it on a karmic level. So I'm looking forward to seeing the changes that our Aries people will make because they deserve it. I love Aries. My mom was an Aries.
I love Aries too. And it's amazing you say that because this year we do have a Venus retrograde season. It's going to be with us. We're going to feel the larger season between June and October, although the actual retrograde happens from the 23rd of July right into the first days of September. And it's happening in that heart dating oriented part of the sky for Aries. So
Right.
it's fascinating that you picked up on that as well. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I love
Yeah,
how tarot and astrology
it
actually
all comes
come
together.
together.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add for our beautiful Aries people?
For Aries souls, well, look, I just think that where I love so much of what you said. It matches up with the astrology, that sense of power and understanding a higher direction, feeling like larger lessons really feel like they come together. They find their solutions with Pluto stepping out of the career oriented part of the sky. So yeah, I resonated with a lot of what you shared.
Yeah, good. All right. How about we move on to Taurus?
Taurus. So, Taurus, that is the very big news. You are going to have Jupiter enter your sign May 16 and will be there right into next year. Now, you do want to watch those first days. I feel like normally when Jupiter enters your sign, it brings with it this spirit of optimism and possibility. But I think for Taurians, what's going to happen at first is all the things that frustrate you about your life, all the things that feel like they're no longer working for you, they stir so strongly in that first 2 week period. So watch for May. That is a huge turning point moment. Yes, it may be uncomfortable. It may be super frustrating as well, but it's about getting you honest about what's working for you and what isn't. And I see this as a time of initiating sweeping changes in some ways. I mean, I just see like new career directions. Even what home is to you is going to go through a change as well. And a new understanding of what relationship patterns you're going to continue and what you no longer are. And so, wherever it is you're hoping to begin again, just be open to the possibility that you don't have all of the understanding just yet. But when we get to May, all of the frustrations and all the things that you no longer will put up with, they are stirring very strongly for you as part of getting you honest. And from there, you'll get to build truly a new understanding of what your life can be. And the optimism starts to set in as we move later into the year so that you have that sense of belief that you can make it happen and you absolutely can.
Totally. I actually do think that Taurus have been um, struggling to enjoy their lives over the last little while, and for so many reasons. And definitely COVID has to do with all of our reasons, but there's even more so here. And what I see with the Taurus person is they're very connected to their homes and their families, and when they love very, very hard. And when their love fails them, they are heartbroken, and they take a long time to pull themselves back up. And this year is likely going to be one when they take a good look at what's happening in their love affairs. And I don't just mean their partners, but their kids, their girlfriends, their guy friends, their brothers or sisters, all of it. Okay. They're going to look at everyone, and they're going to realize who's really respecting them and who is not, and what their part is in that whole thing, and probably acquiescent. This is there's a lot of this moving forward really harsh and also pulling back afterwards. So this energy is like a recessive energy. So I see once the realization is there, and there's probably going to be some cuts, boundaries, firm ones, and realizations that they are part of the problem and what parts they are creating on their own. And one of the biggest things will be they're going to rate who has been generous with their time, with their love, with their compliments, with their kindness. So they're going to be looking at everyone in their family and seeing who has shared gratefulness and generosity and charity with them on a soul level. And those people that are not are going to get, they're probably going to get the boot. And maybe some of them cannot actually make those things happen for whatever reason this year, but you can be sure a quiet Taurus is planning their out. They are planning their out. And they'll likely either enter into counsel or take a lot of time in nature, which will be another kind of counsel, and heal themselves. And I show the cards that really, I got a number of cards here, but the one that really speaks to me is the Hermit card for this. And we also know that this is a Virgo energy, which also could be that it is a Virgo that you run to communicate with. It is a Virgo that you feel most comfortable with, or maybe a new friend. And I would say it's a really good idea for you to connect with someone who has that peaceful vibe, who doesn't mind hearing you out, but also has a way of checking you when you get too harsh. Because Taurus, this has been some of your issues, I would say, over the last little while, is not being happy. The bull is coming out. And this part has to be figured out and contained. I was seeing one of the people I follow on TikTok. She said that the second stage of Taurus is a Minotaur, which is that, real mean, real harsh, really heavy kind of energy. And if that's been the kind of Taurus you've been experiencing, Taurus, this is something you need to check in on, because none of that's good for your heart. Never mind everybody else. It is not good for the soul. It's not good for the heart. And then I got this card, super important, Seven of Wands. And in her deck, you see there's meditation or yoga. So I'm going to focus on spiritual activity that brings you a peacefulness and helps you justify your center again, because this is what's been lacking. And I think the main thing is be around people who are giving and kind and soul warming, soul warming. And don't, if you've got some harsh energies that you've got to heal, this is the time. Go to the counselor, get it done, do it. And this year I think is going to be a wonderful year of healing, although it might be a year of getting out from underneath people that aren't serving you in ways that make your heart feel good. That's what I got here. What do you think?
Well, I love the things that you said. I think, again, going back to the Venus retrograde, maybe I'll be the Venus retrograde girl talking about that today, because if anybody is likely to connect with a love from the past, it is the Taurians out there, considering that Venus retrograde is going to happen right at the foundation of your chart. And I think that when I look at how much the energies start to shift in May, June, July, I think that a big part of what brings this shift within you and a new understanding of self is probably going to be somebody from the past coming back around. Now, whatever happens with them, it's almost secondary. It may or may not lead to something long term, but more relevant is what it is that you come to understand about you and how you understand how much you've changed, you've evolved, and what that's going to mean for you going forward from just this year as well. So that'll be really interesting to watch for the Taurians. Now, I do want to be sure to answer Gemma's question here as we're setting up for Gemini. So, Gemma, the new moon that happens this weekend is happening at the very beginning of the sign of Aquarius. Now, I do want to point out that the way in which we calculate the position of the planet is different in Western astrology than it is in Eastern astrology or Vedic astrology. Our perception of the planets is calculated differently. And I have a couple of videos about that called East versus Vedic, East versus Western astrology on my YouTube channel. So you can look me up there, Nadiya Shah. Extended videos are there because that's something I'm asked so often. But having said that, I practice Western astrology. From my perspective, it is the very beginning of Aquarius. And I think this is going to be so fascinating, considering how we're going to be jumping into Aquarian energy so strongly just a little bit later into the year. So happy new moon to everybody out there, regardless of how you calculate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Um,
Gemini.
so, so
Yeah,
you're saying, so what I hear you saying, firstly, just to finish off with
sure.
Taurus, is that yes, they're going to be going through some relationship changes and self awareness opportunities that might be spurred on by someone from the past.
Interesting, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Nothing like your past coming back around to make you realize that you are no longer the same person. I should make clear this Venus retrograde is an intense one. It is Venus squaring Uranus repeatedly. It's a big characteristic, but also connecting with Neptune. So it's almost like needing to, in uncomfortable moments, free yourself of illusions and expectations, but also really needing to look at the reality of the situation in love for all of us. An uncomfortable reality at that. We are going to be getting very honest about where we are in love, who another person is, what we really want. In one way or another, we're going to be led to that journey. And so, considering that for Taurians, Venus is your ruling planet, what you're coming to understand, it moves you that much more deeply. It shapes you that much more for a very long time to come.
Aren't isn't it coming in the sign of Leo?
Yes, it's in the sign of Leo, which is, for those who are students of astrology, that is the fourth house for Taurus. And the fourth house is the house of the past. It is understanding your roots, it is looking at old patterns, your family patterns as well. So that's where Venus retrograde is going to speak to Taurians.
Wow, that's going to be it's going to be a big year for them.
Yeah, in all
Yeah.
kinds of ways, right? It's brand new beginnings.
Yeah, I got a lot of people in their family will be on their on their chopping block is what I was going to say. Maybe I shouldn't have said it, but they will be. They definitely will be. And some of that's good because maybe Taurus has been taking on too much, and some of it might be an opportunity for them to recheck or reevaluate. Maybe they've been too harsh, or maybe they've been unfair. So this is going to be a good year for, I think, bottom line, Tauruses to review themselves. Sort of like a big, huge Mercury retrograde for the whole year, but it's
Yeah,
all but it's
yeah.
all good. Yeah. All right, so let's go to Gemini.
Geminis. Well, look, I do love that you are going to have Pluto. I mean, look, if it's going to be good, it's likely going to be better for the air signs than anyone else, considering that Pluto is moving into an air sign. So that's going to help you to feel that much stronger and feel like you have this force of transformation that's easy to work with, to integrate, to allow you to make positive changes. And in some way you're aligning with your values much more clearly and getting clear on what they mean for you with the fact that Saturn is going to move into the top of your sky, having to do with career, having to do with life purpose. What tends to happen with that is there's a sense of focus on some career goals or outcomes that you may desire or you may want. But you'll be working on that for the better part of the next 3 years, after which the really big rewards tend to come. But it also can be a time of really solidifying those higher successes in your life as well. Now, where it comes to love, though, I will say, again, going to that Venus retrograde, a couple things come to mind. With Venus, love literally is just likely to find you as you're running your errands, going about your business in your neighborhood. Love and synchronicity are very tied. Up until then, though, and especially right up until the later part of March, you still have Mars in your sign. So chances are, if you are connecting with people, it very likely is one of those, love at first sights, or rather lust at first sights, kind of jumping into another person very quickly, type of scenarios that becomes possible in the first part of the year. But once we get a little bit later into the year, yeah, I think you'll really understand that when you're meant to connect with someone, it can just happen in an instant, which becomes very much the case in the middle of the year.
Right. Um, I think that can I step in now?
Yeah, of course.
So okay, yeah. So just to confirm some of the things that I heard you say, and also to add to it, I do see whatever injustice you feel has been bestowed upon you, especially in the last 2 years. You're going to be dealing with some of it now. And in this year, it's almost like you just, it has to be dealt with. You won't let it sit anymore. You won't just put it under the table. You won't ignore it. You will not allow it to be sloughed off. So I do see very, very similar energy as the Taurus is going to be bringing things to the table. This is not everybody. This is one major justice. This is the difference. Injustice, I mean. So there will be, you've been stuck inside this, whatever that thing is, for at least 2 years. But the last few months, it's been stirring and you've been trying to deal with it. So I am seeing that the first part of the year is going to be you dealing with it some more and removing it or adjust or confronting it, or even journaling would be very helpful to you too. And this is a good thing for Gemini, because it's, communicating even with just yourself. I do see that this is going to be you facing it. So you're going to be journaling it, trying to come to terms with some of it, seeing the unfairness of it. It's not, and the thing is, you're going to blame some of this on the conditions that we just lived through. So maybe it's a relationship that busted because of being too in each other's face. Something as simple as that. And that's going to have to be adjusted on your inside. It does look like it might put, either you're going to go all the way in and fix the relationship, or you're going to literally walk away. But if there's been an injustice and it's their fault, this is something you're going to bring out, and you're going to look for balance. Look for balance. It almost has the energy of what a Libra would do, and I suppose there's some relevance in that, just being a Gemini. Now, if you have not sat with counsel, if you have not thought that that's a good idea, I'd like to check in with you, Gemini. I think it would be a really good idea that you do sit with someone who can maybe just help you sort out some of that, what has happened, so that you can move on and not be trapped in the old days, or trapped in the old ways, or trapped in the low vibration of blaming yourself or blaming others. Just staying out of blame is a good thing to do. And I think that's going to be the thing that has to shift in the latter part of the year. I think it'll justify itself, and you'll feel a whole lot happier. And I don't know, maybe even more spontaneous and feisty. And I like the energy I see in the latter part of the year.
Sounds amazing. Yes. Agree with all of that. I love that sitting with counsel idea, with the ninth house so lit up for so many Geminis, for those who are students of astrology.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll forever be a student of astrology.
Forever youthful. That's what I love about Gemini energy, I'll tell you. Like, there's always that curiosity. There's always that opening, and that openness to what's happening around them, the spontaneity. I mean, I have a pretty good chart. It's quite mixed, if you will, right? And so I do have a grand trine in air, which is, I have Mars in Gemini, Sun in Aquarius, Pluto in Libra. And they communicate with each other harmoniously. So yeah, I love all that Gemini energy, that curiosity, that openness, that excitement about life and being in the moment. It's amazing.
Right?
So let's go on to Cancer. How do you feel about it? Yeah? Well, look, Cancer, I'm a Cancer rising, love the Cancers out there. I love that Pluto is going to step out of your opposite sign. That just is like a lot of pressure released, like it's just going to feel like, you could take a little bit of a breather there, especially in those particular months. You add to this the fact that Saturn is leaving a part of the sky for you that has to do with needing to look at, your relationship with financial institutions, looking at what wealth means to you. And sometimes that means, needing to pay more attention to things like your taxes and things like, what's happening with your debts and stuff. But you had a significant chance to get all that in order. But now here comes Pluto in that part of the sky for a little bit of a taste. And so I feel like in some ways, what happens now, especially in March, there's going to be some sense of financial reward, if you will, some sense of moving towards greater wealth that can feel rather comforting. So you do want to watch what happens in March. I really love the fact that in late March, once Mars enters your sign, will immediately connect in supreme harmony with Saturn. That is such a powerful moment for Cancerians out there. It's a moment where you understand your place in the world differently. You're feeling strong. You know what it is that you believe, and you're feeling well rooted in it. And you're feeling like the world is yours in some real and very practical way as well. So I think that's going to be energizing and exciting for a lot of Cancers out there. The fact that Saturn is moving into a worldly part of your sky, I think this marks the beginning of a 3-year transit cycle when you're going to be exploring more of the world than you have before, whether that's the world of ideas and philosophies or very literally as well, going out into the world in new ways. Where it comes to love, look, with the Venus retrograde season, I do want to say on the one hand, outside of love, that could speak to what's happening with your money, where you're looking at how you spend money, how you earn money, and whether that works for you. I would be very cautious. I mean, I look at that and I think, wow, some Cancerians in the middle of the year might be on a bit of a spending spree. You have it, so enjoy it if that's what you want to do, have at it. But yeah, if you don't necessarily feel like you have it like that, you might want to just be a little bit mindful there. For all that, though, you are going to understand in the middle of the year that love, romantic love, and self love are intimately connected for you over that larger transit between June and October. Love and self love are connected for you in some way. Either you're attracting people who are, either because of how they treat you, you realize that you've always deserved better. You didn't know it until you had it, or you're attracting people that make you stand up for yourself and say, no, I deserve better than this. Either way, you get to the same outcome, which is a heightened sense of self love that strengthens for you with a year like this.
Right? Absolutely. Everything you said, I was looking at my cards and they're all going together with what you're saying. They're definitely, this is the Lover's card and the Ace of Cups, which is about sacred love, which is about divine love. You know, it is about finding your passion. It's about finding the people that resonate with your passion and that inspire you and instigate you and get you moving. You know, sometimes we see the lovers as two, but in many of the tarot cards we see an angel as well in that, and that represents being having a third vibration pushing things for you, pushing things in the right direction for you. So I think that true love is going to be very possible for Cancers this year. Very possible. And this has been after a long time without either a lot of friends or true love. So those Cancers who have not been in loving relationships for some time, this is going to be a big possible year for that to shift and change. But that is because of the self-love you've been giving yourself. So then you instigate the energy the universe sends to you what you are. So we attract who we are, right? You have had limited friendships. I think the Cancer has done this, very hermit crab kind of an energy for the last while. And probably even when COVID hit, they were like, whew, I don't have to deal with people now. Yay. But then they were in it for so long. They're like, now they want out. And now they want a piece of the universe, but they still don't like people very much. So they're going to be working on that. And I think they're even going to make some new friendships that will, like maybe even a small group of people that they haven't had in their lives for a long time. And I think that goes with feeling like they belong, what you were saying there. So I like that. And they're going to see how they also, this is always how it works when we're learning. They're going to see what their part was in the whole scheme of things, and how they ended up not attracting the right people, how they ended up without having friends, and how they ended up not liking people, all of that stuff. They're going to figure that out this year. They definitely do need to watch their money, though. You are 100% on that one. And it's if you have money, Cancer, spend it, do it, have fun. What else is it for? But if you don't have a lot of money, Cancer, you best be very careful and more frugal and more resourceful with how you manage your life. Otherwise, you will definitely face the cart turning upside down on your finances. So I do want to just put that little warning out if you're one of the Cancers who are pinching pennies. So be careful. And for those people who are pinching pennies, if you're mindful, you'll do just fine. Okay, just stay mindful and be resourceful and learn how to make your money stay in your own pocket best you can, or at least keep your money in your own neighborhood if you can. Um, yeah, I see a lot of strength. I see support. I see people in your corner for the first time in a long time, people that are going to help you. So those Cancers, like even in your workplace, I see new people coming in to, maybe management, or maybe directing things in a way that leave you more time to be creative, to be playful, maybe even just to stay home and read a book. Maybe this maybe now that the mandates are maintaining that, you can do it and like it, right? And then you can jut out and do a little bit over here, a little bit over there. I think the main thing to keep a Cancer happy this year will be many projects. Many little projects, a lot of little things that you are inspired to create. Now, maybe you want to get it all started and then walk away and let somebody else look after it. And then after a while, come back and take a look at it. That would be okay. That would be okay for you to do. Just remember, friendships will make things a little more exciting and certainly give you more activities to be involved. And that's what I think this year needs to be, is you staying involved and embracing what the universe has to offer you. And for those that are spiritual um, Cancers, this could be a really good year for you to get even more connected to that. Very, very much so. What do you think?
I love it. I love it. I'm thinking about the fact that I am a Cancer rising. So a lot of things you're saying are resonating with me. And I'm of the belief that it's a good idea. Look, if you know your sun sign, which just about everybody does, that's great. That's enough. But if you really want to understand more and synthesize and understand the layers of what's going on in your life, it's a good idea to know your rising sign and your moon sign, and to take that information as well and bring it together. So, yeah, for me as a Cancer rising, I totally get it. You mentioned Cancers and spending, and I feel like with Venus, it's about the things you want, like the things you think are going to be fun, the things that help you to celebrate your unique beauty, whatever that is. That's where you do want to be mindful. It's almost like I'm seeing for Cancers, like all of a sudden they want to go to the best spa. And whether or
Yeah,
not they have the money, they're going to go to the best spa and get the best,
yeah,
beauty treatments and stuff. And that's great. But
yeah.
especially with Venus retrograde, what the outcomes are going to be will be very different than what actually happens. So that's where you want to pace yourself. It's not like you'll have the money you need anytime we have such strong financial energy. The money you need will be there. With this, it's just really about what you're wanting rather than what you're needing.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now for Leos though, look, this Venus retrograde is happening in the sign of Leo. This is going to be the most important trend for Leos out there. So again, you want to watch what's happening June into October. Um, Going back to this idea of what you're wanting and things, look, as a general principle, Venus retrograde season is not the time to invest in things like cosmetic procedures, tattoos, new hairstyles. I mean, I have seen so many people, Venus goes retrograde, they get a whole other hairstyle, then Venus direct, they're like, what the hell was I thinking? Yeah, yeah. And the thing is also like, look, you want to trust your life. I'm not saying don't start a new relationship. Of course, if it shows up for you, that's great. But I just feel like what you think you're getting and what it actually is could end up being two very different things. So this is true for the Leos. This is true for the Aquarians as well. They're going to need to be mindful of this, and the Aries as well. These are the big signs that need to be mindful of. If you're meeting new people, what you think it is and what it actually is are going to end up being two very different things. And the truth will shock you, put it that way. It'll come about in a way that really feels like it comes out of nowhere. And so, yes, be mindful if all of a sudden you feel like throwing out your whole wardrobe and getting something different. I'll give you an example, because Venus retrograde, it tends to have a way of mirroring itself every 8 years. And so I think about 16 years ago, right? We had a Venus retrograde kind of like this. What happened for me? Well, I, at the time, was wearing all black. Like that was my wardrobe. Every item of clothing was black. I was going through some stuff in my chart. That's what I wanted. That's what expressed myself. Venus retrograde season hits, and all of a sudden, I can't get enough of yellow. I wanted yellow, and I never liked yellow. Okay. I was like, I went through a pink phase. I went through an all black phase. Now here I am. I'm wanting yellow. Like there's nothing else that exists for me. What happens when Venus goes direct? All that yellow went out the window. Thank God it was like Walmart stuff, right? So it wasn't a big deal, but all of that yellow goes right out. And it wasn't just yellow, it was like fuzzy, and it was like, it's Canada. So it was sweaters, and I had matching like pants and tops and yellow, yellow, yellow. Thank God all of that was over. And it was like that baby yellow too, right?
Oh no.
Own woman already. And I was into that. So yeah, if you find yourself going in that direction, well, chances are it's going to end up being something really different. I've had the experience 8 years ago, when it was about 8 years ago, I think it was, when I met my ex, now who's my ex. So that should tell you something. But yeah, when we he told me that he was a certain age, and I believed him. And then Venus goes direct, and he tells me he's actually younger, like younger enough to make me pause, but still completely legal. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Of
Yeah.
course, I wasn't going to like run screaming. It wasn't anything like that. But yeah, I thought, okay, dude is younger. What do I do about this? And I decided to go ahead anyways, and let's see where this goes. So yeah, that kicked off my cougar years. I'm still in the middle of yeah. I didn't realize what a cougar I could be until dude came into my life. 15 years younger he was. 15 years. I know, right? Look. I thought, wow, look at my maturity. I've attracted somebody who's, within my basic age range. Dude ends up being way younger. But it worked out okay, and it was what it needed to be. But yeah, be aware. We've got those squares happening. I think that's going to be the most important trend. But you add to this the fact that Pluto is going to dip into your opposite sign before we even get there. That is going to be huge with Pluto dipping into your opposite sign. You are at the beginning of a 20-year transit that's going to reconfigure your understanding of partnerships in a very different way. You're going to really want something that feels very real in partnerships of all kinds. Jupiter going into the top of your sky, career blessings. First, career stress, where you're getting really honest with yourself in May about what you really want. If certain goals you've been pursuing really aren't what you want anymore, you are going to get honest about that. But once we move forward, there are absolutely career blessings that you're moving towards more and more as we end the year and enter next year as well. That's my insight. What do you think?
I'm a Leo. They're already happening.
There you go.
Already happening. Already happening. So yeah, I see. It's interesting. So there's two different things, and I have two different mindsets with this. So Venus is going into a retrograde Leo. So typically, Venus in Leo is a very loving, playful, sexy, sensual, get the groove on. That's the one you want, because there's that really together, passionate vibration. When it's in reverse, does it really take away the passion, or does it speed it up in certain areas, or does it make it hotter? Does it, like you said, it comes in, you think it's this way, and then flip? Is that how it will happen? May I ask that question?
It's possible. I mean, the flip will be a shock, put it that way. It'll take you by surprise. Yeah, that's what I think. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's just it. So I have been wondering, what does that mean? What could be the flip? And the first thing that came to mind is people who are heterosexual are going to be, find out they're bisexual, or they're heterosexual, and they're going to find out that they're gay. So is that going to be a big thing? I think
Other
maybe.
way.
I think maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's going to hit a lot of Leos this year, and they're going to sit and wonder, maybe I'm gay.
But
Yeah,
also, I love that you said that, Tamara, because I remember so many years ago seeing something like this in someone's chart, and she was a regular client and she was a lesbian. And I remember saying to her, you have this coming up. I think that, either it's going to be somebody of a very different race or a very different age,
yeah.
but also it could be a man as well. And she was like, oh
I
no, I
don't think
can't
so.
imagine, no way. Yeah, yeah. She was like, I'm a gold star lesbian, right?
Yeah,
She was saying to me,
yeah.
I love her. And then, yeah, when I met up with her like a year later, she was very shocked that she met a man and decided to see where it is that it took her. And she was still with that guy when I
Right?
met up with her. So you just never know. Just be open. That's
I
the
think,
exciting thing about life in general, right? See where it
that.
takes.
I think that energy is there.
Love is love. Yeah.
If they're gay, they may go hetero. All I'm saying is it's going to be a topsy turvy kind of a thing. And then the other thing is, let's say someone like me who decided I don't even want to date anymore because I just don't have time for it. Maybe all of a sudden somebody comes in and you're like blown away and you do change your mind. I'm hoping that happens in the back of my mind, but I'm not really holding out for it. But the energy's there for it. The energy's there for it. If you've been single a long time, if you've been one way or the other in terms of your sexual interest, all kinds of things could flip and flop because of this Venus retrograde. But that's what I'm seeing, not just because of that, but I'm concurring in my cards. It shows it.
Mm.
So yes, I'm saying yes, that is an absolute possibility. And that's why I asked, because I'm seeing it and I'm like, what? But the real thing is, what I was saying, how I thought that true love could possibly be found in Venus. In Virgo. I just said that. And here it is again. So Virgo, Leo, both signs will have a lot of that energy hovering around them, pushing them to look. So the Ace of Cups is sacred love, is a true spiritual vibration with someone, and not just a sexual lover, not just a business relationship, but somebody that you will really like to communicate with, like to talk about, someone that has the same vibration, maybe not everything, but many things. You both like animals, you both like astrology, you both like whatever, that kind of a thing. So someone that you really could sit down and have a good conversation with. I do see that this energy may stir on those more quiet or at home Leos to do some dating, and maybe it isn't like natural, like the like match.com kind of dating, although it could be. This would be more getting out into events and meeting people naturally, or looking up from the produce section and actually smiling at the guy beside you, right? That kind of thing. I think a good natural connection is what the Leo will be looking for, and they'll find it. Okay.
Smiling back. I mean, it can get you so much, but it can also be the most terrifying thing. But yeah, do it. Do it. Leos are good
Yeah.
at that. They
Well,
can.
I'm a Leo in the Pisces house, so you can only imagine the weird energy it puts on this poor Leo. It
Well,
honestly, it throws me
I
off the stage. What
sorry
was
to
that?
interrupt. My dad's a Leo, and I have watched him flirt with cashiers all my life to this day. He's learned, and he does it very well. He loves talking sweetly to people, and it's quite incredible to see. So yeah, I wish more of that for you, flirting
Yeah,
with cashiers.
yeah. Flirtiness is a thing I have to push myself to, because that
Yeah,
makes me a little more watered down. Just watered. But on the other hand, I have used Piscean energy because it can be very sensual.
yeah.
So, I'm just going to pluck that string for a little while this year and see what it gets. Now, the other thing I saw here is lots of activities with other people. Like I said, getting out, doing things, enjoying, escaping the mundane, just getting involved. And like you mentioned something about, oh no, it was Cancer. I said was going to, not Virgo. It was Cancer. I said was going to find true love. That's the sign I said, not Virgo. Just so making that really clear, because I just remembered we haven't even done Virgo yet.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go on to Virgo
Yeah.
then. Talk
Yeah, well,
about Virgo.
let me just finish. So, no, you have to tell me how this is. How are we finished?
I
How do you?
think so. Yeah, with the
Yeah,
Leo's got a good amount of time there, and yeah, I think there's a lot of things to look forward to for the Leos out there. Yeah. What about you? Do you
yeah.
feel
I
ready to
feel.
move on?
I think they'll have lots of happiness in their home overall.
Yeah. And career, I'm seeing career stuff too, so that's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
big career, big time. Absolutely on the career thing. It's already happening with me. So good. Okay, let's move on to Virgo.
Virgos. Well, look, I really love that Jupiter is moving into that heart oriented part of the sky for you. It has to do with what it is that you need to be happy and getting really deeply in touch with that. Well, no, actually, sorry, I made a mistake there. My apologies. The heart oriented part of the sky is Capricorn. That is a whole other thing, and we'll look at that in a little bit. This is actually Jupiter moving into a worldly part of your sky. So it's all about new adventures, travel. It's about understanding not only where you're supposed to be in the world, but enjoying the exploration itself. I do think that, especially in May, there may be some Virgos out there who say, you know what, I want to go back to school. I want to pursue a higher degree. Who may say, you know what, I want to expand my horizons in some way. I'm sick of feeling restricted. I want to go out in some way and try new things and have new experiences. And there's this sense of confidence and an energy that feels like it has more. You know, the word that comes to mind is chutzpah, right? Like you got more chutzpah. You're so ready to engage the world and engage other people and meet new types of people as well. That'll have you doing all kinds of things, whether that is going out into the world, meaning in your own city, in your own region, or whether that's a wider sense as well, like actually taking a plane or going across the country in some way. These are the types of new things and new experiences that you may feel drawn to, or new ideas as well may call you at this time. Considering that we also have that Venus retrograde happening in the sign just before yours, so much of that Venus retrograde season I see as closure. That's what I see as the larger theme of it. So either it's going to represent an inner restlessness, and that can actually end up being really good because a lot of that more shocking energy that the Venus retrograde season could bring will end up feeling more calm for you and working out sort of in your dream space. The other thing is that, yeah, where it is that you may need closures with certain people or certain chapters of your past, whether that's in love or otherwise, you'll get a chance to really find that deep sense of healthy closures that you need. But also, where this Venus retrograde season is taking place, what I really love about it is that yes, it has to do with closing karmic ties, ending karmic chapters, but it's also about connecting very deeply to a knowing that there's more you have to do in this lifetime. That conviction, like you don't need to have all the details, you don't need to know all of what it is, but you know that there's more you have to do in this lifetime. And that can be part of the excitement of this time as well. You don't need to know all the details. It's the conviction itself that takes root and then really starts to set in very big ways. But I would also add, where it comes to love, look, Saturn is moving into your opposite sign. Saturn in your opposite sign, a 3-year cycle, is going to help you to get honest about where you are in love and why and how you feel about it. The universe knows that some of your most important learning is going to come through partnership. And so you will likely, if you're one of those Virgos who finds it hard to connect with people and date people, people are going to be there to help you to understand where you are in love. It is about either getting honest about what is so that you decide whether or not it's working for you, or it's about engaging new experiences, different experiences, or solidifying bonds that are already there. ultimately the root is honesty and a more grounded perspective of what love is and what you need love to be going forward from here. Those are some of my thoughts where it comes to Virgo. What about you, Tamara? What do you think?
Totally on par with you. Definitely see them educating themselves in probably more unique ways than even they have thought. That I think COVID has helped them understand a more spiritual section of themselves, and also they're very analytical. We know that about Virgos, and so they might even get into things like astrology and tarot and that type of healing work. You know, the spiritual realm, the esoteric areas, the occult. I'm going to say that many Virgos will trip that switch, and will start to, you know, do what they would feel is would be called more meaningful education. That doesn't mean that they won't take other things that'll be more traditional, like, you know, maybe nursing or caregiving, that type of a thing. They do have the ability to do such things, but they're also they can work better in small groups as opposed to large groups. So they don't do well in chaos, I don't think. I think if you put them, let's say, put a couple of earth signs together, putting together a herbal compendium, for instance, or, you know, putting all the herbs out, bagging herbs, anything to do with nature, but healing at the same time. So herbs comes to mind, that type of a thing as well. I think a lot of our Virgo people will get connected to that type of a thing, or even doing garden work or making food, you know, food gardens, um, maybe landscaping, maybe environmental things, maybe working with animals. This type of a thing, I think, will be more up their alley, but also they would be the ones who might take the administrative part. Okay, so they might not all be on the outside in nature, but they've gone out to nature or whatever, and then come back in. How many squash did we get? How, you know what I mean? And they do like to have their list. This is why I said something about a herbal compendium. It actually is a memory of putting a couple of people into to work together who Capricorn, Virgo, and they put a huge herbal compendium together for me with my direction, and they were fantastic. And that's the kind of energy I'm seeing here too. Um, I do think, though, that they are going to be dealing with. Let me think how to say this. I think many of them have endured relationships that do not speak to their souls. Many. And this is the year they're going to shake it off and move it forward. And I think very much like the Taurus, I was saying something about the Taurus sign, also sort of looking at some of that. Many Tauruses will stay in the relationships, so will the Virgos, but they will recognize that there are problems and they've got to address it. And they cannot sit quiet any further. And if they don't think there's a way out, a way to fix it, they're going to find a way out. And I don't think they're going to wait another year. I think this will be the year that they make those changes. So it may start in a very subtle way. Oh, I have to go to school over here, so I'll see you. We're going to get a room over there, and may start without it being super clear to everybody what's up. Virgo is a little tiny bit shyer than the Taurus, where the Taurus is, I'm moving out or you're moving out, and this is why. The Virgo won't do that. The Virgo is just a little more subtle about it, a little more secretive, a little more private. And that's because they really do not like confrontation. They are not the bull. They are not. They are way more mutable, as we know. And so they can be conned into staying. So they'll be quiet until they're sure they have their footing. And then it'll just go flip and they'll do it. So I think they'll wait it out. And again, I think you right on some of the energies that you mentioned. None of this will happen likely until June-ish. Okay. But I do like what I see there. I think in the meantime, they're going to be looking at education. So that's how they'll take the first part of the year, is getting involved, getting their footing, starting to feel more confident with themselves, feeling happier about what they're choosing to do in their lives, feeling proactive. They like it. They can analyze themselves. They are doing productive things, and they're going to be happy with themselves. So that's going to give them the empowerment that they need to make the next step. which will be cut ties that don't work for them, cutting cords that are no longer serving them and or hurting them. And I think our Virgo sign is probably one of the signs that tolerate unhappiness the longest. And
Wow.
so
That's
I,
so insightful. Yeah, Tamara. I've
yeah,
seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, you're so right.
yeah. And I think that they're going to fight for themselves this year. So yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautifully put, Tamara.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's incredible, but I really would. I always wish all the signs a lot of luck, but yeah, let's hope some of those wonderful blessings that you mentioned, the blessing of being able to know what you want and speak up for it and move towards it. What a great blessing that we have to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I am very interested by what I see here. I got the Queen of Wands in reverse with the Nine of Swords. It
Mm.
tells me there may be a matriarchy in your family that you'll have a concern for this year as well. I'll just leave it at that. But I do think I'm seeing that for many Virgos. Okay?
Sending love to the Virgos for sure.
Absolutely.
Libra, you ready to move on to Libra?
You go ahead, girl.
Let's do it. Libra, look, we are going to have Saturn move into a part of the sky for you that has to do with you understanding your daily life differently in some way. And I think that that is such a place of power. It's about understanding that when you focus on what's in front of you to do, that is where the power is. That's where you find purpose as well. You know, I recently saw this amazing movie called Soul. It's an animated movie. It has, I think the person in it is Jamie Foxx. His voice is in it. I would really recommend that everybody watch it because the movie explores purpose. And it talks about how, you know, sometimes we are so intent in our lives, so consumed, so occupied with finding our passion because we think passion is purpose and passion is amazing. Passion makes you feel useful, which is wonderful. But our purpose is to be present. That's what the Buddhists teach us. That's what so many spiritual traditions teach us. Our purpose is to be right here, right now, with whatever's in front of you to do, whatever people are in your life, whatever you're learning about yourself through them. And it could change dramatically in the next moment. And that's okay. Doesn't mean you need to be in any moment you don't want to be. But purpose is found by being present for yourself, for your life, and for what it is that is right there. Breathing is your purpose. You
Right?
being able to sit with your coffee, you being able to appreciate that you are an embodied soul and to be with your embodiment and to know that that's enough. That is a position of great power. And I think that's part of what many Libras are going to come to understand and explore in this time going forward from here. Once we get past March and for the next 3 years, this is an important lesson for you. And it's amazing how the more present you are, the happier you are as well. It's incredible how it works that way. And so I think that's one part of it. Another part of it I'm thinking is, you know, Venus is the ruling planet of Libra. And Venus is going to be moving through as part of the larger Venus retrograde season, a friendship part of your sky. And so friendship and love are intimately tied. You know, they say that air signs fall in love with their best friend. And that really is key here. Whether you have love right now, whether you're open to new love, is this person a genuine friend to you? Do you feel like you can share on that level of a best friend with this person or not? You're about to get very honest about that. Now, for some, it's going to be shocks, a shocking declaration of love, whether it's you having feelings for a friend or them for you. But for others, it's going to be more playing out in your established bonds where all of a sudden you realize, oh, wow, okay, this is how much I can share with my partner. This is what I can't. How do I feel about that? These can be some of the possibilities where it comes to love, especially in that middle of the year, that Venus retrograde season. Friends from the past can show up in shocking ways. Loves from the past can show up in social events in ways that take you aback. And yet there's something honest there, something true there that can be part of the power of this time. I will also add another layer of what's playing out. Jupiter is going to move into a wealth oriented part of the sky for you in May. And I feel like this is either you working towards an inner sense of spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, perhaps taking on some journey of psychoanalysis or something that really helps bring a force of healing into your life and helps you to realize how resourceful you are within. But it could be a very practical wealth that you start aligning with as well, coming to an understanding of defining wealth on your own terms, whether that is in very practical ways, being able to attract funding easier, grants, loans, bursaries, credit cards. They just find a way of finding you now. And so you want to be a little careful with that in the larger sense. But in other ways, yes, this can be a time when you're looking at what wealth means for you in a larger sense, bringing healing, but also healing any emotional issues around abundance so that you align with wealth for a very long time to come, well after this year is over. Those are
Yeah.
some of my thoughts. What about you, Tamara?
Absolutely. I saw financial stability finding its way into the Libra's life. I definitely found that. I do think the Libra is going to be kicking their butt for the first few months of the year, for whatever they think they shoulda, coulda, woulda. Okay, whatever that is, and there's going to be a lot of not being very nice to them, their own self. All right, so maybe they're criticizing themselves about something that they have done in the past, or they wish they had done, whatever that is. But they're stuck where they're at, and that's just how it's going to be. So what I'm being told is to, let it go. Let it go. And sometimes Libras can be a dog with a bone, and they won't let it go. And that's being their own worst enemy, though, when they're doing that. And I think that having a good friend, like you said, they fall in love with their best friends. I think having any kind of friend around them that cares about them is going to be really helpful to the Libra this year, to help them see where they're being mean to themselves. Sort of, that they need to let go. They need to stop being abusive. Like even just calling yourself, oh my goodness, I'm such an idiot. Saying something like that isn't a good thing. And, we all do it, don't get me wrong, but the Libra may have been down on themselves a little bit too much. And whoever this friend is, they're going to help them stop doing that. And I think the other thing about Libras, many Libras may, and I didn't think I really thought this, but the cards are saying it, so I'm going to go with it. They may have found themselves in a lot of codependent situations. And I don't think I ever noticed that about Libras until this very moment, as I see it. When I think about it, yeah, okay. Because I usually find them to be quite balanced, and, or they're completely not, and that's what they're working on. You know what I mean? But codependence may be an undercurrent of issues with Libras in general. And this might be the thing that you're kind of going to look at as well. So, things that you may or shoulda, coulda, woulda, things that you wish you didn't do or you had done, and also the codependent connections that you have and how you depend on other people for whatever that is. One of the things could very well be just for that backup, that you don't know yourself well enough and you need other people to give you adoration or confirmation that you're a good person. Well, Libra, all I can say is you are a good person. You are a very good person. And if you find yourself in that position, please resort to that friend we're talking about so that they can help you through that. But you don't want a friend who just says everything you want and always agree with you, because then you'll get stuck on that codependent stuff. You do want a friend who's going to help you face things in an honest and true way that will actually help you overcome. So there's that. I do think this year is going to be a year where you're not going to be able to get out from underneath everything that you want, but this will be a good year to organize those things that you want to kick off for next year. So just keep that in mind. Even if it still drags itself with you to 2024, you can be sure you will not take it into the next year. I don't believe we'll be starting next year with a retrograde, and that will be good to know. Do you know if we're going to be? Because I do not like starting a year
Oh,
with
I'm right
the
there with
nine all over.
So here's the interesting thing. Where it was this year, we started the year with a brand new Mercury retrograde. Next year, we'll be starting the year ending a Mercury retrograde. So it's that fascinating. But it's also Mercury retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius as we start the year. So that's a very different energy than Capricorn, which is the energy we started this year with. So in the energy of Capricorn, it's like, what do you still have to do? What do you have to work on? What's the plan, right? It's very focused on what are you manifesting. But Sag is a very different energy. It's about the fun. It's about the party. And I
Yeah,
feel like we're starting a brand new year while ending a Mercury retrograde. It is going to feel like that New Year's Eve party comes right into the new year with us. We are not going to want to let go of the party. We are going
exactly.
to be about enjoying our lives so much more. So what a wonderful energy to start the year with. I do want to add, because this is going to speak to all signs in one way or another, it is going to be the 27th of January on my birthday in 2024 that we are going to have Uranus go direct. So as we begin the year, Uranus is stationed. Once Uranus goes direct, all major planets are direct. And that is powerful energy. We're going to go with that right to the beginning of April of 2024. So I know we're jumping ahead here. We're talking
Yeah.
about next year. We can talk about this month as well. But I think that is so powerful that we're going to be starting this year of 2024 with so much momentum of what we're moving forward towards, what it is we're creating, all the kinds of new beginnings we want to experience. I think that's going to be the dominant energy as we start 2024. Now, with this year, I do want to say, now that Mercury is direct, it is going to be this weekend, this coming weekend, that Uranus is going to go direct. So that Uranian energy is very strong with us right now as we're moving into the weekend. Once Uranus goes direct, all major planets are going to be direct for 3 months. And so
Good.
we're up for that. All of us are feeling that already. All of us are going to be feeling like we're ready to move forward in some way. And there's going to be a real energy of momentum and excitement for a lot of us once we pass this weekend in particular. So be on the lookout for that. That should be exciting.
So what I'm really feeling overall, there's a theme, and the theme for this entire year is cleaning up our act.
Mm.
It's cleaning it up. It's a spit and polish year.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like spring cleaning for the whole year, you know, and reorganizing everything and actually putting that good vibration into it. When you're spring cleaning and you're reorganizing everything, and you can finally get that corner done, and you stand back and you go, yeah, I like that, and then you go over there and do the other. This is what I see this year being, and especially for like it's the Libra, and I'm gonna finish off what I was saying here. I think the Libra is not going to put too much effort into anything that's too much effort, but they will review themselves and their situations, and we as friends have to help them not be so hard on themselves, and we have to help them realize that they may have codependent as part of their default button.
Now, I'm loving talking about all this stuff with you. I do have to say, we're running a little bit late. And
Yeah,
so let's get into Scorpio right
yeah.
away, if that's okay, Tamara. Thank
I'm
you. So
already there. Go ahead.
I want to be sure everybody gets their shot for sure. And so Scorpio, it's really interesting. You're going to have Saturn leave a part of the sky for you that has to do with your past and your home. So I feel like you've spent the last 3 years sort of getting the foundations of your life in order, understanding your roots differently. But a lot of Scorpios probably have worked on something in their own time and space over the course since 2020, really putting their ducks in a row, as they say. Well, it is going to be once we move into March and Saturn changes signs that we will start you moving in a direction of wanting to have fun, getting serious about having fun and enjoying your life, and also dating as well, where it is that if you've been one of those Scorpios that maybe hasn't been as engaged in the fun and game and lightness of dating itself, this is where you're about to get a lot more serious about it and engage that journey and that process a lot more consciously also.
Mhm.
And whether it is that you're already in a relationship, whether you're open to it, the feeling of love is what you're going for here. The joy of love and the in love with your life in every way is part of what you're going to get serious about and working towards. However, we're also going to have Jupiter move into your opposite sign. Now, the ancients believed this was one of the best times to connect with someone in a meaningful way, or to advance wherever it is that you are in love. So, people dating, they move in together. Maybe they didn't in ancient times, but now they do. Those living together get engaged, get married. Stuff like that
Yep.
becomes more likely to happen as well. With the Venus retrograde, since we've been talking about that quite a bit, I will say for the Scorpios, it's taking place at the top of your sky. This is a very visible part of the sky. Outside of love, it has to do with career and purpose. So having a career path you love, when wherever Venus is retrograde, the guiding question for all of us is, do I love it? Do I love this person, place, thing, or situation? Do you love the career path you're on? Is there heart here? Is there love here? If there isn't, well, at least you're going to get honest with yourself about that, like why you're doing it, what to what ends you're doing it, and whether or not you want to keep on that career path that you're on. But I will say, if you choose to pursue relationships in the career sphere, relationships with people who are bosses or people in positions of authority, I would be very careful. Things could come out very quickly, very messily as well. It's like all of a sudden, lots of people become aware. So just pace yourself a little bit where possible, where it comes to jumping into a relationship with a boss. For all that, though, where it comes to love and fun and being connected to what you want in your heart of hearts, boy, is that going to be a much more focused pursuit. And because you pursue it, chances are you'll get it as well. What do you think, Tamara, about Scorpios
Oh,
for this?
oh, I see this year love being their healer.
Mm.
Love being the healing factor. That is what's going to bring them all the way to the healing place. Um, I do see, as you were saying, if they were in a relationship, they might, up the game and be engaged, and then if they're engaged, they'll up it again and get married. Absolutely, completely agree with you there. And if they're in a marriage and they don't have kids, this is the year they're going to make that kind of thing happen. They're going to seal the deal with some little babies. Well, whether they adopt them or they plan them, I don't care how, but children will be on your discussion table for sure. If you've been in a relationship for some time, this is the year for children, or something like that for certain. And it may not be that you actually bear them. You might adopt. That kind of energy is still here. Definitely see lots of good relationship healing work. I absolutely agree with you to stay. I would actually say stay out of relationship with people you work with. I would say that because I got the tower there. And when I see the tower, it says mindful, walk away, get away. I don't care. It might be sexy. I still say no. No, not on this one. Because if you do, it'll topple you and you won't be able to fix that very quickly. And that's where the problem is. So if you were on a stage and everything was looking good, that situation topples, you're not going to be looking good. So I'd avoid it. I'd avoid it. Turn right around, focus on what you're already doing. Find someone who's less of a challenge or less of a risk, less of a risk. Now, saying that, we know Scorpios. Less of a risk. Don't do that. Excuse me.
I,
You know,
yeah.
there's got to be at least two of them, that two Scorpios right now who are already saying, I don't think so, I'll do what I want. And yeah, but we warned you. Just remember, we warned you. Um, Also, I think that Scorpios are going to be working on mother issues this year. It could be they didn't have, just simply they didn't have whatever it is they thought they wanted, and this will be a time for them to bring mother up to the task of dealing with it. So if your mother's alive, she'll have to listen to it all. If she isn't, she'll still have to listen to it. But definitely, I think this is going to be a good healing year, one where I'm really happy to see it, because I know of some Scorpios that could use a good year of healing places in their heart. And I wish for that for them.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Sag,
Okay.
let's move forward with the Sages. I love some of the energies here for Sagittarians. Absolutely. Um, I like that we are going to have Saturn moving forward. I mean, speaking of your past and your mom issues and stuff like that, for Saturn, for Sages, Saturn moves into the foundation of their chart. And yeah, that is dealing with those past issues, dealing with mom issues. I always think of Saturn as an opportunity to take responsibility for your happiness, to do the work that happiness sometimes requires. And that's part of resolving or bringing resolution, if only for yourself, to your past as well. Other people are going to do and did whatever it was that they did. We don't have any power over that. But what we do have power over is how we embrace our own learning and the power we give to past experiences. Sometimes it takes work to release that power. And that may be part of the energy that some Sages are engaging at a time like this. One thing I do really like, though, is look, I will say money stuff gets a lot easier. We're going to have Pluto just step out of a financial part of your sky. And that's going to, at least for that couple of months until we get into June, calm money matters right down. Help you to feel like dealing with your money is less of an urgent matter. But once you get that little bit of a taste of what feeling more calm and in a space of greater ease financially feels like, you want to hold on to that, because even though you're not quite out of some of those lessons, that's okay. You'll get a feel for what it is to be in a greater space of trust that everything you need will be provided for, especially financially as well, to get to live the fruits of that faith. I think that's part of the strength of this time as well. I will say what we're also going to have is, of course, that Venus retrograde season happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with a part of the sky that your sign has a natural affinity for. And so this is about being out into the world. And I always see this as the international love calling you in some way. So someone very different than you've known before, perhaps a different cultural background, different religious background, but in some way they represent the world or a gateway to the world. And that can be part of the excitement, a part of what feels like an awakening for you at this time as well. But remember, just when it feels like this is the person who's going to be the grace with which you're able to open up new adventures and new possibilities, there's like a wake up, a shake up that could happen for you as well. So stay connected to your own power to open worlds up for you rather than give that power away to somebody else. And you'll be able to love that much more deeply. A more philosophical approach to romantic matters can really start to set in, and maybe even falling in love with foreign places, foreign languages. I mean, I know what that feels like. And so that could be many Sages with a year like this as well. What do you think, Tamara?
I love it. I love what you said there. It does go with some of the things I'm seeing here. I think some of the problems that Sagittarian people have had might be really super close to home, like with brothers and sisters. Okay, so some of it could be that they just haven't been understanding each other, haven't been jiving, or there's a codependency energy in it here as well. So it could be that you're being accused of something by one of your siblings, or an auntie or something like that, and it's a stupid family squabble, that type of a thing. But Sagittarian is getting hit by it, and to the point where they question their own self, and I think that they're going to step away from some of this conflict and find their own footing. And that's what I like seeing here, and they will find their own footing. And I think spirituality is going to help kick. I see a lot of spiritual energy this year in general for every sign, but I do think certain signs are going to pull it in even more. One of them will be Sagittarian. And I think they're going, and we know this about them because they're Jupiter, they're philosophical, their education, they want to learn. They're like the eternal student, right? In many ways. And I see that spiritual energy, that faith that they have, is going to be primarily the thing that pulls them out of whatever their siblings are dumping on them. So this is going to be super helpful to them. And yes, I do agree that they're going to have more financial support, or not support. They've had financial support. What do I want to call this? Independence. That's the word I'm looking for. They're going to have more financial independence than they have had in a long time. But it could be because someone gives them a lot of money or access to a lot of money, something like that. Now, that could come in a form of a job. It could come in a form of, what did you call them? Bursaries and windfalls and things like that. It could come in that way too, because it could also be that Sagittarian might want to take some new educational classes, or maybe, I don't even want to, courses. I'm going to call it courses as opposed to classes, because classes tend to make us think that they're in and out. This one looks a little more committed. Okay. I think Sagittarian have been living without the kind of love that they blossom under, and that this year might, and their spiritual revelation might help them recognize what they need to do to pull in the type of relationship that'll help them, that'll enhance their lives as opposed to drain them. They may have found themselves in many relationships over the years that just took more than they had to give. So I'm going to say that this year, if you're careful, Sagittarian, you may set yourself up for a really good partner to come.
Capricorn, are you ready to move on? Do you
Yeah.
think? Okay, let's do it. Capricorn, look, Pluto is going to step out of your sign. This is a very big deal and something that should be very welcome. I think many Capricorns are going to feel this massive shift in March, not just because of Pluto just stepping out of your sign, even though it is just a brief period. I mean, Pluto out of your sign is going to help you to feel as if this intensity, this, almost like obsessive part of you that might have felt very much on the surface and might feel that way as you start this year, it dissipates, it calms right down. You're able to settle into an understanding not only of what it is that you have yet to achieve and want to change, but rather an appreciation that you've come a really long way. And that's really incredible that now, in some ways, you don't have to stress so hard or move so hard, or feel as if there's more to strive. And I think that'll be quite the respite. But do keep in mind, we are going to have this just be a little bit of a taste. The transformation that's been taking place within you since 2008 isn't completely done yet. However, you're at an important turning point of understanding how much you've grown, how much you've changed. Saturn leaving a financial part of your sky can help you to feel that much more secure in financial matters as well. And so I think that will be very welcome. Saturn, of course, is also your ruling planet. For the next 3 years, once we navigate further into March, well, you start a cycle where you're focused more on your relationships with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. Also, if you have something to express, something to share, something to say, whether you want to teach, whether you want to write, whether you want to get on social media, it's like you get serious about actually sharing who you are that much more, and putting yourself out there in that way as well. Putting your message and getting your message out there is going to be important to you. The Venus retrograde season happens in a very interesting part of the sky for you. This is a part of the sky that, on the one hand, does have to do with money as well, but it has more to do with, like I was saying earlier, as Tamara reminded, grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, benefits you qualify for. That's the type of money here that we're looking at. And so you may need to pay attention to what's been happening with your credit, for example, and wanting to address that and bring resolutions there. But outside of that, this part of the sky has to do with profound sharing. It has to do with vulnerability. So it can make love and your desire for love feel like you really want it to be something authentic. It has to move you. It can't just be something you're doing to pass the time, but rather something that feels like it reaches right within you, a soul shaker, as they say. That's what you're going for with this Venus retrograde season. Just when you think you have it, you may be shaken to realize that, oh, maybe this other person thinks it's something that you didn't expect, or you may leap forward in terms of intimacy very profoundly as well. Chances to find intimacy may take you very much by surprise, if not shock. This part of the sky also has to do with the taboo, what was previously taboo to you. And I think you may be more interested in exploring those things that you didn't allow yourself to before in all kinds of ways, but that includes romantically as well. Those are
Yeah.
some thoughts I have for Capricorn. What do you
Yeah.
think, Tamara?
I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is going to happen for the Capricorn is a return to themselves, a return to the core. And maybe they have been traveling down a path that is, maybe it was just a little skewed from what they really wanted. And as they got going, they realized how far away, because that little tiny thing gets bigger and bigger as we go. I think a lot of Capricorns are going to recognize that they are kind of in no man's territory. They didn't expect to be there. That wasn't what they wanted. That wasn't the plan. So I see them going back or excuse me. I see them going not backwards, but back to pick up the pieces of the things that they liked about themselves or the things that they had intended before everything got so skewed. I do see finances as on the forefront. It might be that I'm gonna go right out and say this: many Capricorns might have lost their financial footing during this COVID situation or in the last few years for sure. They're going to be struggling but pulling themselves back into that safe place. So if they lost a home, they may be trying to figure out a way to regain their home. If they if they want to buy a home and they don't have one now, they may couple up with other people to put all their resources together to do it. I do see a lot more work if you've been in construction, building houses, renovation, anything like that, Capricorn, and you haven't been doing it. This is going to bring it back. This year is going to bring it back for you. If you are a house flipper or real estate, buy nasty houses, fix them, and sell them again. This is going to be a good year for you, but you might have to do it with a friend. You might have to couple up. So don't be discouraged if you don't have as much as you had a few years back. Don't be afraid. For Capricorn, it does not take long for you to regroup. It does not. And so I'm just going to say, don't worry about it. This is a year, like I've already said, it is our year to pull ourselves back into where we really want to be. And I think Capricorn has the potential to do that. If there's been any legal situations hovering around you, Capricorn, any injustices, unfairnesses, those things will be revealed. If somebody owes you money, they're gonna get called on it, and it's gonna come back into your direction. Let's say you were building somebody's house, for instance, and they couldn't pay you for whatever reason. The legal system will work towards setting you and setting this straight in your favor. So I'm saying to you, finances are going to find their way to you in a lot of unique ways. And if there's been any injustices, those will be repaid. Now, they may not be repaid with a whole chunk of money. You might have to go through another little, let's say somebody's got, maybe it is that house thing, and now they're forced to either get a loan to pay you back or sell their house. So it still might take a little bit of time, like maybe 10 months before the money rolls in at the level that you'll say, I like it. So what am I saying? You may not be able to make a lot of purchases, but you can certainly plan things. And by October-ish, I'd say things are going to be much more in your favor. So yes, lots of changes in that way. And if you're looking for partnership, it might not be the best thing for some. I don't know what you're going to say about this, my friend, but I'm going to say go with a fire sign, Capricorn. And yes, that's a little different, but I think that it's going to be a fire sign that's going to bring it all home for you. What do you think of that?
Well, look, the fire signs are very exciting. For sure. Now, I do want to mention something as well. As a general principle, as I said earlier, Venus retrograde, not the time for big changes where it comes to, the aesthetics and celebrating your unique beauty, not the time for cosmetic procedures, tattoos, things like that. For the Capricorns, I would say, especially where it comes to procedures that are invasive, right? So we're looking at cosmetic procedures that involve needles, that involve surgery, that involve tattoos. Please leave that all alone for the Capricorns, especially from June to October. Like, I would just take that huge chunk of time and say, Capricorns, leave it alone. If that's something you are called to that you like to do, just hold up. I promise you, that tattoo artist will likely still be there. Don't you worry about that.
Right.
Together in the perfect time. Yeah, yeah. Just that, things can happen, like you don't like the results, there's misunderstandings, it just takes a lot longer to heal, things like that can happen. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I literally remember getting a tattoo years ago. This is before I was a professional astrologer. This is years and years ago. And I thought, oh, it's okay because actually the tattoo's already there and I'm just kind of reconfiguring it. It's a so it should be okay. Oh boy, that is the only tattoo that took forever to heal properly, I will tell you. And I still don't like the inks they use. So that's all I'm saying. Just chill if you can. Okay, Aquarius.
Thank you.
Okay, Aquarius, look. Saturn's going to leave your sign in March. Very, very big deal. Very exciting for you. It makes the serious energy calm right down. Aquarian. I don't know about the other Aquarians out there. I actually really liked having Saturn in my sign because it helped me to get really honest about my life and realize that my time on this earth is finite and I wasn't going to be in situations anymore that weren't working for me. And it also had to do with like understanding what was done, right? What has come to its end so that I could live more fully. And that was part of the excitement as well of a time frame that led to a whole lot of change for me. And so as much as I want you to say, okay, and as much as I'd like to think that, okay, that's over for now, in a way it is. Yes, Saturn's leaving your sign. You should find yourself feeling like life is less serious, but you are going to have Pluto enter your sign. I would say really watch what happens once we navigate to the later part of March, April, May, especially big month for the Aquarians. And then just as we step into June, but May is the big month. Watch what happens because I feel like whatever takes place, you'll get to decide how you're going to address it, how you feel about it. Chances are there is going to be an energy of sweeping big changes that happens, especially in the month of May. Some Aquarians are going to love it. They're going to feel like life takes on an intensity and a higher vibration. They can feel themselves vibrating, is something I'm hearing a lot of Aquarians say. For others, maybe not as much. Maybe things are changing in a way that leave you feeling powerless, in a way that's hard to grapple with. And that's okay as well. You're learning something new. You're picking up on new skills about life and understanding where you have power and embracing where you do and surrendering. That's going to be a very important skill with Pluto in your sign. It has to do with doing what you can, but also surrendering to a higher, more loving vision for your life, even if you don't know what that is. You can make it infinitely harder on yourself if you try to hold on to something. Instead of holding on, go with the flow. Trust. These are ways in which this leads you to a time of greater power, personal power, but also power in all kinds of ways than you knew before. I mean, think about, Tamara, earlier you were talking about the Tower card. We were talking about the Tower card, right? It's kind of like that for a lot of Aquarians, where it is that you maybe have bought into illusion, or maybe you thought that things were a certain way. The Tower comes along and it makes things very clear in an instant. And where that is a house of cards, it falls down very quickly. But where it isn't, the truth can really have you shooting onwards and upwards. So trust that path. I would also say, look, the Venus retrograde season is going to speak to love for Aquarians very, very strongly. You are one of the signs who is likely going to be changed in the context of love in some way or another, depending on what transpires for you. Either you're seeing your partner very differently in an instant, you're seeing things very clearly, or not. What I will say is breakups that happen with Venus retrograde in your opposite sign tend to not stay broken up. So do what feels right for you to do in light of your unique circumstances, but pace yourself as well. And if you're meeting new people, just know it's almost like I see you meeting them and you think it's a certain way, and then in an instant, it's something very different. You realize they are somebody very different. The truth of it can feel like it is a wake up call for you. But ultimately, you're moving towards an understanding of what love has to be for you. If you have that, it'll grow stronger. If you don't have that, well, you'll get to decide whether or not that works for you in the bigger picture, especially once we navigate later in the year and into the fall. What do you think, Tamara?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My son is Aquarian, so when I look at Aquarian, I always see, what's happening for him. One of the things I see is an Ace of Pentacles in reverse, which means the Aquarian has not had as much freedom financially as they would like to have. Okay. I don't know about you, but that's what I see here for Aquarians in general. Would you concur?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. And it's not that you don't have money, but you don't have what you really need to do what you really want. So this has been, push pull. The other thing is Aquarian does look like they need others to make it all worthy. Okay. So maybe, you said to me that you work a lot at home and you're doing a lot of things at home. I don't know how that, maybe your reasoning for traveling is because that's you trying to get that, that other component where you have, some fun with other people and actually extend yourself. I think Aquarian can get locked into routines, their little routines, and that unfortunately can stop them from having fun and actually be too serious. So I think that this is going to be a good year for them to step out. They got the 10 of Cups. This is a great card to have in terms of community, being connected with your community or being playful with your community, finding your and family, community and family, and having lots of fun with that. I think work is still going to call the Aquarian, um, even though we're talking about them having fun. I think they're going to have fun at work because they put a lot of energy into making money. So this is, where's their social scene? Their social scene will be because of work or around work, or their new friends will be because of work, or they met them at work or coming to and from work. Because this year is going to be about them flipping the tables where they have the money they want. Now that might not be really clear to them until nearer to the end of the year, but you guys are on the way, so don't worry. You are on the way. You may not be able to make that or see that money all by your lonesome, though. So if you can couple up with other people, networking like we're doing right now, collaborating on any level, whoever those people are that come to you with those opportunities, vet them, though. Just like you said, I will take heed with what you said there, Nadiya, in regards to um, um, people flipping, where all of a sudden you think it's this way but it's that way. I would definitely vet whoever you're going to put your money with. Okay. Now that doesn't mean you're going to get a private investigator to go after them, but pay attention, ask certain questions and see what their answers are. Do not ignore their answers because you want it to be like this. Pay attention, and that'll make it a lot easier. For those of you that are married, I got the 10 of Swords there, so I think a lot of Aquarians will ensure that whatever relationship they're in, marriage-wise, has the signature of freedom. Because if you've been in a marriage that is not allowing you to breathe, and you've been allowing it, I think you're going to question it and you're going to push push all the boundaries so that you can get more of what you need. I think that Aquarian people are, all I can say is money's going to be the first thing that you're going to work on. Where you're going to work, who you're going to work with, you have to be really careful with, vet whoever it is. Community and family are going to be your best friends. And if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're, that's all like, that's the best advice I can give on that level, because sometimes Aquarian can be, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but not, and I don't mean anything by it, but I just, in general, they may have trouble doing everything that they want to do. So pace yourself, say no once in a while, say maybe, you know what I mean? Like, don't always jump all the way in because it might be too much for you. Your year looks freaking busy.
Get ready, Aquarians.
Yeah,
Yeah.
busy,
And
busy.
finally, Pisces. Here we
Yeah.
go, Pisces. Yes. Okay, so Pisces, look, Saturn is going to enter your sign this March and will be there for the better part of 3 years. After which, once Saturn leaves, won't return for over 2 decades. And so you don't get many times in a lifetime, in a life well lived, that you are going to get Saturn moving through your sign. And it is always a chance to understand that you alone, in many ways, are responsible for your own happiness. It is you that, if you're happy or not, gets to decide what it's going to take to make you happy, to do the work, to move in that direction, whether that's personal, psychological, or more practical changes. And where it is that you don't have power to change something, it's up to you to decide that you're going to surrender, that you're going to either accept or move in a different direction. And that is the great life-changing lesson of having Saturn in your sign. Now, ultimately, Saturn is also about self-respect. What does it take to earn your own self-respect and to live it? You're going to get a chance to look at that as well. What I'm very excited about, though, with this is that earning your own self-respect is something that stays with you well after this transit is over. You are beginning on that journey, and you're beginning in ways that actually there are some very supportive things taking place, celestially speaking, that are going to bring with it benefits rather quickly as well. I mean, I'm thinking about the end of March. Mars in fellow water sign Cancer is going to speak in supreme harmony with that Saturn. So right away, you get this energy of a boost that energizes, that strengthens you, that helps you to feel more connected to what it's going to take for you to be happy, what you really want in your heart of hearts, and the courage to see it through in some way. It is going to be in June that we are going to have Jupiter speaking in harmony with Saturn in your sign. And this is going to be a great moment of stability, but also a moment where you are seeing things differently, like quite literally, your perception changes. You see things, perceive things very differently in a way that empowers you, where before you saw limitation, now you see possibility and opportunity. This may be a time when you are embracing sharing in bigger ways, bolder ways, perhaps expanding your social media reach or traditional reach as well, maybe focusing in on writing your thoughts, writing a book, for example. These are just some ways in which you are understanding how to connect to your unique voice and building a sense of self-respect and stability from that place in the process. Now, the Venus retrograde season, rather interestingly, for you is taking place in a part of the sky that has to do with your daily life. Being in love with your life as you move through your life is going to be a part of the energy of this time. And so, is it that you genuinely feel that day in and day out, you are living in a way in your smallest moments that you feel love is there? If not, that isn't going to work for you. You're going to get honest about that and move towards creating a life lived in those smaller moments that you absolutely love. I would also add with this, earlier Tamara was talking to the Cancers out there. I'm a Cancer rising. And she was saying something about the isolation and the privacy and things like that. I think you being in love with those moments as well has been a lesson with the Mars retrograde season we're coming out of, but now feeling as if you're able to live those small moments, whether alone, others, and having love and joy there nonetheless is going to be part of the search. Romantic love, though, look, I would say clients, customers, coworkers, immediate supervisors, these are not the people to date right about now. That is where your whole world could turn upside down if you go in that direction. It's one thing to think about bosses, right? That's a different area of the
Yeah.
chart. It's another thing to think about those coworkers, those clients, those customers. Yeah, just be mindful there of where it is that perhaps you're looking at these people romantically. Again, it's like everything coming out into the open very quickly that you want to be careful of, and things getting like misconstrued in some way that ends up not working very well for you. Outside of that, though, you know, Chris Rock has this joke where he says in one of his previous comedy specials that two people, what keeps people together? It's habits. Do you share habits with this person? It's very hard, right? For if one person likes crack and the other person likes to go to church, it's very different, a very different way of living, and it's very difficult for these two people to be in a relationship. But if two people really like crack, well, it's very easy for them, right? It's a whole other thing. They're getting along great, even if they don't like each other. They're great in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like that. Think about what you
Yeah.
actually live like. How do you actually move through your day? Having somebody who matches you on that level is going to be so important if it's going to work. What do you think, Tamara?
I won't be doing any crack to get along, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I love the way you put it. I love the way you put it. And here's why. Because one of the things I see about Pisces is that they they will change who they are to climb a ladder. And this has been their nemesis. This has been the problem. This is how they've ended up in problem situations because you know, they tried to be practical, but they're a mysterious sign. They can't actually be, they can't think that way and actually be practical. So I think what happens is they turn obscure situations into practical with their minds. And then in the end, it comes back to bite them in the butt. So I think you're right. This year is going to be an opportunity for them, to really look upon themselves, to avoid doing anything the same, because them going out with their bosses would be the same. You know what I mean? So they really do need to let that go. And I think this is going to be a good year, although they are not as happy as I'd like to see them in general. I think Pisces really needs to get underneath what makes them happy, just as you said. And it is certainly not what has been. It is not what has been. So what is it you need, Pisces? And it doesn't mean that everything has to be turned upside down to make right what you need. It doesn't. But what parts do? You're going to have to take a look at that. You need to be free. You need to be playful. You need to be able to dance. You need to be able to sing. You need to be able to be sexy. You need to let that energy flow. And if your present situation is not providing opportunities for that, if it's too sterile, if it's too square, if it's too much of that, Pisces, you're not going to be able to do it anymore. You're lying to yourself. You can't climb this ladder if they're not all doing crack with you, just like my friend said. So you all got to be doing the same kind of thing. You really need to align with people who are of the same nature as your own. It has to be this year. It has to be. No more fighting with anybody. No more putting up with it. No more changing who you are to make it work. No more changing who you are to make the money. None of it. None of it. I mean, yeah, we got to be mindful what we're saying at work, because you can get a terrible Google thing happening without even trying hard. And then all their friends can come and give you a 1 star too. So you do have to be, juggle if you're out in the public at all. You will have to juggle it. But when you're with your friends, when with your partner, when you're with your family, be 100% you. And I promise you, Pisces, you'll feel way, way better about your life and about yourself. Spirituality is the key here. So be authentic, be spiritual with yourself, be understanding with yourself, and also kick your own butt if you start to fall back into the old patterns, because they have not proven well for you, and you might as well move on. Now, one last thing I'll say. If there's someone from your past, friend, lover, whoever it is, and you're missing them, provided it's a healthy missing, fix it. If it's an unhealthy one, fix you, meaning get some counsel. And that's that. That's what
I
I got.
love, I love it. Wow, Tamara, I'll tell you, before when Tamara first invited me to come, I said to her, okay, I have like a 2 hour like valve, right? Like I can go for 2 hours. After that, I do need a break. I need a moment or whatever. Even with me turning off the camera and taking, a quick puff of my vape. Wow. I'm amazed that you do this regularly. Like just keep going like like a laser. Good for you. I mean, look, I could keep going, but I do tend to need a break every 2 hours. But you, my God, you are amazing. Just so resilient and such a reserve of energy within you. But just thank you, Tamara, for inviting me, for seeing me as part of your vision. For what it is that you do, and for this moment with your audience. Thank you so much, everybody, for the presence and the love that you brought as well.
Thank you too. And just so you know, I don't know if you can see this, Nadia, we now have in the room 267 people.
This is exciting. Amazing.
And
And
we probably had about 30,000 people come through already. I'll take a clip and send it to you. Uh,
awesome.
yeah, thank you. I want to say thank you to Amanda and Gemma. I have seen you folks making comments along the way.
Thank
I
you.
just that I stay focused, and I'll be honest with you, I do not see well with these glasses. I have some new ones coming in after the 16th, and I'll be able to see the screen better. I'm actually having trouble seeing the little fine print on my telephone, so I have to be like here to see.
Get it. Get it. And
Anyways, it has been wonderful, wonderful having you with us, Nadia. Thank you so much for coming. And please, everyone who's in the room, just before you go, I would really appreciate it if you do me a favor and go look for Nadiya Shah here on TikTok and give her a follow. I see you all following me and I super appreciate it, but I really want you to follow my friend. And I'll be posting many of these, all the zodiac signs and some of the stuff that we said through the world predictions on my here on my TikTok, and I will tag Nadia here so that you can find her. So if you didn't manage to find her now or you forgot to follow her, please make sure you do when you see all that, because I think you can see you'll be missing out if you didn't.
thank you. Thank you, Tamara. And for you guys, if you just put like in any search, especially like Google or whatever, Nadiya Shah astrology, it doesn't matter how you spell it. I will come up. And really, the really big community that I have is on YouTube. For those of you who don't follow me there, it's about 165,000 people. Um,
No.
So yeah, TikTok is really new to me. Like this is where I've just started. I'm just starting to, create some sort of a presence here. So whether you're finding me on YouTube or Instagram or now TikTok as well, just thank you. Thank you for seeing me as some part of your journey. And again, Tamara, lots and lots of love to you, to your audience, to your community. Thank you.
You're welcome. One last thing. You are taking clients, right?
Well, look, there is a waiting list right now. And so you'd be very welcome. Use the contact form on my website. Again, just put Nadiya Shah Astrology. Everything comes up there, including my main website. But mainly, I do have a subscription service at nadiyashahsuperstars.com. That tends to be a place where people really are able to touch base with me with lots of premium content and live events and
And
things like
for what, $3 a month?
Exactly. It is just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. So literally you can decide how much you want to pay every month. I like to keep it really accessible. And even with my school at synchronicityuniversity.com, classes as well are choose your tuition rate. So you can pay as low as just $5 a class to learn from incredible astrologers as well, like really world renowned astrologers, which I'm so grateful to have their trust. They come to my school as well. So wherever you find me, whether it's just social media, which is amazing, and I would appreciate that so much, a follow so much, or whether it is you decide to find me on my superstar space at my university, wherever it is, you would be very welcome and you would get massive gratitude. So thank you for that.
I love following you. Thank you very much for all your hard work. You always present so many wonderful things, and I didn't even think of that or didn't think of this. And I love listening to you share. I put you, just so you know, I put you on my big screen in my living room
Oh,
while I'm cleaning, while I'm doing the house, and I listen, and I'll play you over and over different ones, on and on, because I love to hear what you have to say. And I'm very grateful for you coming to share your wisdom here today. And I hope we find a way to do it again in some other, I don't know, we'll talk.
we'll figure it out. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeff, for your lovely support and love as well. Amanda, thank you. And everybody who's joined, thank you. Lots of love to everybody. Mwah.
You take care, and thank you for being here.
Bye,
You can
everyone.
you can just shut down and you'll be fine. You can end it.
Okay, we'll figure it out. It's all new to me, but okay, bye, everybody.
But it should be at the top right. You can get out. There you go. She did it. Wasn't that wonderful? I'm going to see if I can't get the comments to come back on. Hold on a second. I want to be able to talk to you. So give me a second. I'm just going to try to fix this. Let's see. So let me see. Where is it? Oh, no, that's not going to work. Interest. Let's see. I'm trying to figure it out. Give me a second. Give me a second. Settings. Comment settings. Open. Yes. Sub only, only subscribers. There, we're going to get rid of that. There we go. Everyone should be able to comment. Let's see if that works. See, you want to just try and, folks? I hope you can. I'm trying to make it so that everyone can comment. Not yet, eh? All right, I'll have to work on something. Hang on. Settings, I did that. Hear my voice. Oh, man. Oh, come on. Oh, wait. You are able to comment. Yes. Hey. Yes. Hello, everyone. I had to shut off the comments so that we could do that. Thank you, Gemma, for all your wonderful support and all your comments. Hello, Liz. Hello, everyone. How nice to have you all here with me tonight with my dear friend and astrologer, Nadiya Shah. It was so nice to have her here, wasn't it? It brings you so much joy to hear people in the community share their thoughts, right? I love it. Yeah, Munchie in the house. Right on. Welcome, everyone. It's been a long night, and I just wanted you all to have a chat. I have a chance. I'm sorry, I can't even talk. I'm so tired now. I wanted you all to have a chance to say goodnight. That's why I turned the comments back on. Thank you, Kimberly. I will take some time to cut and paste all of this, the world predictions and the Zodiac predictions for 2023, and I will repost them over the coming weeks maybe. But because I do have two others that I'm still finishing. If you haven't already seen the one with Tara Green and Michelle Marie, you can go back on my channel, and I put a whole bunch of. Thank you. I put up. I think up to Scorpio. Yes. So there are two Scorpios, two everything so far up there. You can go and take a look and see what the other astrologers have indicated will be coming in the next year, in this year, and then we'll put up Nadia. So we'll have three of them. Okay. Yes, I hope it's going to be a restful night. I need to go and rest. It's been 3.5 hours on TikTok. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me. I know a couple of you were here from beginning to end, so thank you so much. That was really nice of you. And although I have a wonderful group here, 265 people, please be sure to follow me. And we'll see you all soon. Next time I come on and do readings, I'll be doing psychic readings for everyone. And I'll be doing $20 and $40 sessions. And of course, if you have if you are subscriber to my channel here, you'll be getting a free reading if I see you here. I'm not sure which day I'm going to do it yet. I'll let you all know. It'll be next week sometime. Take good care, everyone, and hope you're having a wonderful day. Bye, everyone. Have a nice night.